In the previous 7 episodes taking you inside Whissel Realty, you met and learned from 2 of their sales leaders, 2 of their operations leaders, their heads of media and of marketing, and of course, team leader Kyle Whissel. And it was all for the purpose of you understanding how the organization was built, understanding their culture, their systems and processes. And one of the key themes throughout it all is agent leverage. How do we keep agents in dollar-producing activities or in income-producing activities more often? And here in the next 2 episodes, the 2 final episodes, you'll find out how this plays out from an agent perspective. You're going to meet 2 of their top agents, starting with Karlee VanDyke. When she decided to become a real estate agent, Karlee spent 6 months interviewing nearly every team in brokerage in the market. So not only will you learn in this conversation how and why she chose Whissel Realty Group, how she plugged into the systems, what that looked like, how she leveraged the available resources and became a top agent in the team and in the market, you'll also learn red flags to watch out for based on her experience, whether you're that person doing the recruiting on behalf of a team or a brokerage, or whether you're an agent looking for the right fit for you. So red flags to watch out for. Karlee also walks us through the process of moving from team-generated leads to self-generated opportunities, why the split doesn't matter as much as you think and what really does matter instead, and the number 1 question to ask to know whether you're working with a great team or a great brokerage. Here's my conversation with Karlee VanDyke as we go inside Whissel Realty, only on Real Estate Team OS.
No matter where your business is today or where you want to take it, you'll get there faster and more profitably with an operating system. Welcome to Team OS, your guide to starting, growing, and optimizing a real estate team. Here's your host, Ethan Butte.
Karlee, thank you so much for being part of this Inside Whissel Realty series. I'm really excited to have you. I'm excited to learn more about your success and how you've achieved it. But I just want to start by welcoming you to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Our standard opener on the show is, what is a must-have characteristic of a high-performing team?
Must-have is you need to, I'd say, time block. Absolutely. Systems and time blocking.
Cool.
Must-have.
What activities cross the threshold into time blocking for you? Like, is your calendar just straight up blocked? And how far out is it blocked?
A good, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, right? You got to leave room. And it is essential to, I look at hours by money producing activities, right? Mm-hmm. So there has to be enough hours of those every single day, not just Tuesdays or Wednesdays or when you feel like it, but every single day. That's important.
Cool. And you prefer to stack those in the front of the day?
Yes, prefer to stack them in the front of the day so that the afternoon is open for actually meeting people, appointments. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. And the key, of course, is to honor the blocks that you put on your calendar.
Yes, that is important. And if you put it on the calendar and don't stick to it, it's just pointless, you know?
Yeah, totally. Obviously not a problem for you, but I feel like it's a problem for a lot of people.
Maybe. I think you know, there's a perception perhaps that if you're on a show or you make a video, you're producing money in real estate. And that's not true. You know, the more people you talk to and the more people you serve, mm-hmm. that is how you end up being a so-called top producer, is you're meeting with people and changing their lives, either through a purchase or a sale or a purchase and a sale. Like, you just don't know who you're going to meet, and that's the goal, is to serve them.
Yeah, really good. Okay, let's back up a little bit. You've been an entrepreneur and a sales professional for a lot of your career.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about where you were when real estate occurred to you and how you entered the business.
Sure. I was in corporate America for a long time in logistics and supply, and I also did a lot of recruiting. And then I purchased a Pilates studio about 13 years ago. And I teach Pilates. I think movement's important. It sets your mind straight for the day. And then the pandemic happened, and I have a bricks and mortar. We're still in business, but it definitely
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was not easy.
Yeah, in fact, today I taught at 6 a.m. So it's a passion of mine. It's something that I love. I've been part of the community forever, but I always wanted to pivot into real estate. I think one of the things that I didn't mention when it comes to calendar is your family is the most important, and they come first priority no matter what. And my kids were little. And I knew that you need to have ability to have nights and weekends if you really want to make it in real estate, regardless of what people say, it's essential. And I knew the time was right when the pandemic hit and my business was impacted so heavily. Now I have a manager running it and I went full steam ahead.
Awesome. How, so when you were surveying the situation, you're like, okay, I want to do this now. Now's the right time. You probably looked at a variety of teams and brokerages and different opportunities. Just talk about what that process was like for you.
Yes, I appreciate bringing that question up. I took a good 6 months and I interviewed with a lot of probably every brokerage in San Diego, even small teams, boutique brokerages. I joined one for a short amount of time, but there is no support or systems in place to actually be able to support what I wanted to do with my business. And the team member here at Whissel at the time had reached out to me and invited me to a meeting. And that's what did it. It was just coming into a meeting and realizing this group here, collective effort led by Kyle, we have the tools and resources, anything that we need in order to serve those. And that was a game changer. So I knew right away.
Awesome. I think I heard you say what I was looking for or what I needed. I forget exactly the language you used. Talk about that process of even reflection. I think there are a number of agents who would be happier and more successful somewhere else. And I think that turns out one of two ways in a lot of cases. One is they just stick around because we don't like to change and they're not as happy or productive as they could be. The other one is people just bounce around, right? I'm sure you've seen that, in this market because it happens in every market. So I think those folks would benefit from hearing you speak to what's that process like of figuring out what you think you need and want?
When you see somebody who has reached the level that you aspire to attain, then you find out what they're doing and you do the same thing. That's it. And so you don't just get to the top by putting things on your calendar and not following through. You have to put in the work. And that's what I did. So,
cool. So you've had a very, when exactly did you join the team? 2 years ago, 2.5?
March of 2022. So a little over 2 years ago.
Okay, cool. Talk about, I'm not asking you to brag yourself up, but talk a little bit about your production over those 2 years.
Over the 2 years, just shy of 50 homes sold. And I would say it's maybe 45 million in production.
Now, tell me what it was about the onboarding, the mentorship, the systems, like what by joining this team allowed you to, how did that support your natural inclination to make that happen?
The daily accountability. So that starts in the morning. I'm an early riser anyway. I think it's important to have all the agents up and at 'em early and just being fed. And it comes from a place of growth and support too. So we're constantly being served that way. And it's like a morning huddle we have, and then we have a role play. So you're actually getting to implement the sales strategies or the scripting that it takes to be able to talk to somebody. Because communication doesn't come easy to everybody. So some people need to practice it more. And I think just, I'm on a mic all the time when I teach at my Pilates studio, and I'm used to giving direction and instruction and people following without me actually demoing. So strong communication, I believe, is something that I already had, but then being able to translate that into the real estate industry and pull on some of my old sales experience. So that's important, having that on a team.
Cool. I've heard a bit. I've talked with a number of your team members over the past day and a half. I've heard a bit about the brown, silver, gold, platinum structure. I feel like it provides a vision for what I can unlock as I go. How did you receive that structure, that framework? What was interesting or exciting about it to you, and how did your progress move through that?
Yeah, you always start in bronze, and when I looked at it, my goal was it was April. I said I want to be platinum by the end of the year. And the way that I look at that is, you're extremely busy when you're trying to get from bronze to platinum. There's a certain amount of meetings you need to attend and appointments you need to make and closings that need to happen. So while you're in a lot of transactions and a lot of escrows, you're still showing up for the process. And I knew that once I got to, a certain level of production, I wouldn't have the time to attend all of those, because the meetings and what appointments I had with others, that was the goal in the beginning. And my goal was platinum, simply to have time to meet with more people. That's how I looked at it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't look at the steps in between. I just said, this is where I want to be by the end of the year. So I start January 2023 off that way. And now it's all about meeting people.
Cool. And what are the unlocks as you go? Like, how does that process work?
It's based on transactions, the number of transactions in a rolling 90-day period, bronze, silver, gold, platinum. And so to hit platinum, it's 7 closings in 90 days. And it also is in alignment with our local MLS, San Diego Association of Realtors. They have the same essential quartiles. There isn't a bronze, but it's silver, gold, and platinum. And maybe that's the case for a lot of local MLSs, but that's how they do their awards every year. Mm-hmm. So it follows.
Cool. For you, what was it like joining the team? Talk a little bit about your experience through kind of the boot camp, through the mentorship program. Just kind of walk through that, like getting onboarded and plugging into the system and getting off and running so that you could hit platinum by the end of that first year.
It was,
or I guess 6-month period.
Yeah, I was with a small boutique brokerage for about 6 months prior to joining Whissel. So I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have a system to lean into. And so I was pretty hungry for that when I joined, and I just jumped right in. I said, okay, this is what we do. This is the next step. And I just, anything and everything I could to get past the initial onboarding test out, right? There's a test that you take at the end. And then we also have lead funnels, and you're on different teams based on that. And so what does this look like? Test that out, listen to what others are doing, and get to the point where you have your day is packed. I went with appointments set. So appointments set and met. That's what I did to get through the onboarding at the beginning. It was like, okay, onboarding during training, I can still meet people. That's what I'm going to do. Taking every little nugget and not just going home and taking a nap. It's practicing it. We have a lot of really cool SIPs or SOPs, is set up for buyers, like our VIP buyer, our 7-day listing launch, which is trademarked. What is it? If you're a new agent, can you even explain the product that you have? And getting in front of a camera, I challenged myself. I wasn't even out of graduation. I just got in front of the camera. I learned the script for it. And by doing so and sharing it on film, then I knew how to deliver it in person.
Cool. Yeah. And I mean, that's what it's really all about, is how do I take all of this information and create an experience in person with these people who are kind enough to show up for the appointment?
Yeah, it is. And it's, I think scripting every day and practicing it is important, no matter what production you're doing. You have to continue to grow that way.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, because it feels awkward. Role playing in general feels a little bit awkward. But if we're not practicing in that way, then obviously we're practicing on clients, and that's not okay.
And I just say to new agents, jump in, and if you're fearful of sounding, being wrong, it's better here than this is what it's for. It's better here than live in person.
Cool. Yeah. Have you gone to the mentor side of the mentor-mentee relationship at this point?
Yeah, I do. I enjoy it, because when you are able to give back and mentor someone else, you're also learning. And I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds really cliche to say, but I think most mentors who are in it, sincerely, would say that they learned more than their mentee.
Yeah.
But the mentee would say, no, that's not true. It's that's how you know it's good.
Yeah, because you can hear something over and over again, and you can even teach something over and over again, but then something new clicks or a new circumstance arises. And it's amazing. I'm really thankful that I have the opportunity to mentor.
Cool. Talk about company-generated leads in the beginning. Was that really valuable to you? Was that important to you? And how has that shifted to more self-gen business over time?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was helpful. It's definitely helpful to launch, right? And from those, what is helpful is then they refer you, and you might have a listing that isn't ideal and you put a lot of work into it. And maybe the return isn't that great monetarily, but from that one listing, you should get at least one, if not two others. And that is what I found to be true. If you perform as if everything is equally as important, no matter the dollar amount or the time it takes to get from start to finish, then it will come back to you.
When we look at the structure of what's in place, you get a tech stack, you get plugged into it, you get trained on it, you have a mentor out of the gate, you have leads to start building your own book of business. And if you do a really good job, then it turns into your own self-generated business. You're probably learning some skills to, or have learned skills to stay in front of people in the right way, in meaningful ways. You probably have some leverage within the team in terms of like media assets or other things to help you do that as well. And so we can list out all these benefits, but I think what prevents so many people from going all in on a team is they just look at the split and they get all in their heads about it. How did you think about the financial side of participating in a team that provides so much leverage?
I did not. And here's why. Because 100% of zero is zero. So it doesn't matter. I didn't look at it that way. What I looked for and what I think people miss is the proximity to those who are producing, the proximity to those who are leading others, not just locally, but nationally. The connection and the leverage that you have is what I was leaning into, and that will carry you farther, the relationships you make, than anything else. So if you get to a certain level, your splits are better. So you know what? Get to the level, and there you go.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and it's really healthy. Okay, buy side of the situation where as we record this, it's like end of summer, so it's all still very, very early days. I feel like it's going to take like 18 months for things to kind of normalize a little bit. But what's your experience been? I assume that you're probably, I don't know why I assume this, but I assume you're probably doing more listing than buy side work. But
yes.
On the other side of every listing, if it closes, is a buyer's agent. What's been going on out there for you? How did the team provide you with some information or context or scripting? Like, just talk about what's going on with regard to changes to the buy side of the situation.
I think that's important. And the way that the team chose to handle it was wait until we have the facts. And there was a lot of fear building up to what it looks like. And we were all waiting too. We don't know what an RPA looks like. We don't know what an RLA looks like. And we waited until they actually rolled out the forms so that then we knew how to handle it. And our brokerage EXP stepped in and helped us and assisted us with a very short version, reducing a buyer agent compensation agreement to 5 pages versus 13, so that it was very easy to deliver. And it goes both ways. So I do have more listings. I'm more listing heavy. So that conversation is important to have, with a homeowner as well, someone who's selling their home. And we have a 1-page kind of, it's a visual that describes the options for a buyer, and it's A, B, and C. And it's either going to be, you can come in and pay a buyer's agent, right? Or maybe the seller and you will each share some of it, or the seller will pay the buyer agent commission. It's really 3 options. And it always really has been. Even 2 years ago, when I was accepting offers on one of my first listings, one of the offers was submitted with a buyer's agent paying the buyer agent commission, because that they knew it was a multiple offer, and it's just another term in the contract. It's pretty simple. So I think just simplifying it that way is been helpful, and keep it simple.
Mm-hmm. So for you, it sounds like you've got a good handle on it, but on the other side of every deal is very often an agent from another team or a brokerage that might be operate. Yeah, exactly.
They're panicking.
Yeah. What's that about for you? I mean, obviously, X% of your relationships with buyers or sellers like that process is emotional in some way.
Yes.
Not all of them are, but a lot of them can be, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But now in some cases you have an emotional, or a confused or an excited dynamic from the other agent as well. Like, what's that been like for you?
Yeah, they'll call. I've had a lot of calls like this, and they're, so, do you have offers? Are you offering a concession, a buyer agent commission? And I say, you know what? It's another term. Submit your offer with what you deserve or what you agreed, because agents deserve to be paid. And I have no idea how long that agent has been working with that buyer. It could be 2 years. That's what people don't realize, is there's all of this work put in, especially in a market like San Diego, to find the perfect home. Sometimes it takes a while. So that's what I let them know. Send the offer with what you're looking for. And it's going to be another term, and we'll figure it out. At the end of the day, for a seller, it's all about the net. So sometimes it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can hear it.
Yeah. And so it's not something. We had a role play yesterday in our North Park office, and some of the agents had said that the listing agents were straight up telling them what the commission is. I'm like, okay, but that's exactly why we have this settlement. We're not supposed to do that. So it's probably not good practice. I would say send the offer and include it. Just include it, and we'll go from there. Nobody's looking to, I would hope that you're not prepping a seller that they're not going to pay it. It's going to land. It could land maybe anywhere from 0 to 3. We don't know. Like, you have to keep an open mind. And at the end of the day, the net is what matters.
Yeah. I'm pulling back just a little bit. So you mentioned you knew it when you got into the room, that this was a place for you, a place where you could learn,
Yes.
you could grow, you could connect. It'd be a really good spot for you. You also mentioned that you interviewed tons of places. Is intuition a really good piece of it?
Yes.
Making the decision?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a gut feeling about things. And I think more than anything was it just felt transparent, very open. It didn't feel like they were trying to sell me on anything. And I've had a lot of people still reach out. We have a better split. We have this, we have that. Okay, well, I know I've already talked to you and you have no support or systems in place, because you need people to catch you when you feel like you're falling, and have those resources to kind of get your headspace right. And that's part of our daily meetings in the morning, is just, sometimes it's just about getting your head right. And that's important. So I knew it was definitely intuitive. And I just felt it right away. And they were just right and very deliberate about the knowledge that they had about the market. And that's important to me, to know what you're talking about, and it didn't feel, and of course we do compete, but in a friendly way. It didn't feel like so-and-so isn't going to share his knowledge with me because we're competing. And it was collective. And that was important to me.
Cool. In your journeys around town, let's just position it
around
that way.
town. Yeah.
Any like red flags? Like I've been in this situation before, not interviewing to join a brokerage or a team, but in other situations where you're sitting in this meeting, you're like, okay, this could end at any minute, and I would be really glad for that, because I've seen enough red flags here. I would love for you to give some advice to either a team leader who is interviewing agents, essentially recruiting them onto the team, and or to an agent who's in this process of who knows, maybe intuitively, that there's a place where they can learn and grow more effectively than the spot that they're in now. What are some of the red flags that you saw that might be of use to other folks?
It's this pitch on marketing. It was, we'll do this marketing and we'll do this marketing. And then the pitch of, say, you don't have a office fee. Okay, well, I don't have that now. So my question was more about, and then they wanted to know, we can give you some leads, and that's not really what I was looking for either. To be honest, it wasn't. Like, I was just happy when we got here that there was a pond of people we could call and fuck. Like, I thought, oh my gosh, now I can just call everybody. And that's what I did, and grew that way. So it's when they promise you this marketing, well, maybe it's for a limited time. And then you need to get your checkbook out. No, I just aged myself. But you need to get that out and be able to, compensate them for it, or your office space. That was a red flag to me, because that's not really the marketing is not going to make you better. The skills that you know when you talk to people and having an open conversation versus they would point out heavy hitters on their team and, well, maybe you can make it to meet to this group. And I'm thinking we need to be a collective effort. I don't want to feel that way when I walk in, like I can't go talk to him or her because, they own this place. I don't want people to feel that way about me, and I don't want to feel that way about others. Approachable.
Cool. You just opened up one detail. Adrian talked about it a little bit. I'd love to hear, but I didn't go deeper into it. So I'd love to hear it from you. Like one of the opportunities early on is there's this because this is a well-established brand in the market. More than a decade of tenure, and have done a lot of interesting and creative things, especially in terms of media over the years. So you have this this pool or pond, I should say specifically, of like tens of thousands of people.
Yes.
Talk about how that gets opened up to you. What are you looking at? How are you calling into that? I know this is like a little bit, you're probably not doing that today or tomorrow anymore, but what was that like early on? Because I think it is a really unique value of a lot of teams. And I know that a lot of teams help people build their skills and build their book of business in this way. I'd love for you to just kind of like talk about your experience at that time.
Yes, and it might be a little different now, but 2.5 years ago, you had a pond day. You had a day where there's 24 hours available to you to call people. And what I did and what I think most do is who's the most recent person that visited the site, right? Like it'll let you know, and then everyone's trying to call them. And it's important to call them. Call them again, and then call them again. And if you don't get a hold of them, to move on to the next one. But it was really, for me at the beginning, just the last person that visited. I could see the property they looked at and maybe call and ask about that one. So it started that way, and then you can sort and filter it. If you're looking for, a target zip code, you could do that and then filter out the most recent views, and that's what I would do.
And how do you start that conversation?
Well, back then it was probably, hi, this is Karlee from Whissel Realty, and I saw you were looking at 1, 2, 3, click. But now, right, like that was probably what it sounded like before. And I would say, hey, and they would answer the phone. I'd say, hey, Dean, is this Dean? Yes, great. Hey, this is Karlee VanDyke at Whissel Realty, and I thought I'd reach out. It sounds like you're interested in 1, 2, 3 Main Street. Is that property that you might want to see? And then, I'm not looking right now. Hey, what had you looking in the first time or in the first place? And just getting to know them. Maybe they're in the middle of, I'm at a doctor's appointment. We all got to take care of yourself. I'm glad you're doing that. I'll give you a call back in an hour. How does that sound? There's something important I want to share with you. That type of thing. So it changed. It changed a lot.
What at this point in your your level of production and the way that you're running your business now, the way that you're sourcing your opportunities or creating them yourself, what about the team structure and model and systems and some of the leverage that's available to you is the most valuable to you right now?
Agent relationships. That is huge. And leveraging who other agents on our team know, because if we're writing offers, then we can at least speak to them and get a little bit more information about where the offer needs to be in order to serve our clients. And maybe our client can't come to the table with that, but it's so beneficial. And then we in turn can share that with them. And so now instead of 9:30 hits and I'm on the phone calling or prospecting just cold leads, I'm reaching out to agents. So we have a Slack channel specifically for who knows this agent. Like it's important. And Kyle obviously knows a lot of people, but then so do we, because we've also transacted and we can help them answer that question.
Cool. Thoughts on the team model at a high level? You've already taken one swing at it from a by request at the why looking at splits is the wrong way to think about it. Any other advice or even imagination you have about the future of the team model? Will it be even more present in the future because it makes so much sense for agents? Like, what do you think about it in general?
I think when you first start, if you are lost, whether you've been in the industry for 20 years or 1 month, and you need to reset and start, this is the place to go. So a lot of people say, okay, that's for new agents. And when are you going to leave the team? Like, I've had many people ask me that question. Well, here's the thing. If you are looking at the splits, then you know what? Hit 20 million and hit your 80-20 split and be done with it. And then from there, just keep going. Now you have all the systems, and you don't have to, as an individual, go and purchase a CRM like Follow Up Boss. You don't have to go purchase an office space or purchase the marketing collateral. It's all here. You have it available to you.
Or an international team.
Yeah, or an international team, a transactions coordinator, the media room, which gives you the ability to film your own, they'll edit and film for you. And so that's the way I looked at it. All of these things are in place. And I also researched that. I looked at purchasing my own CRM. I looked at purchasing my own Zillow leads, realtor.com. I looked at all of that. And if you're focused on the splits, then get to the top tier and don't worry about it anymore. That's how I look at it. Like, hustle the first year or two and get to the point of, because if you do that, you will have more business of your own 1,000%.
Did you interview teams in that initial journey as you were kind of surveying the market? And what were some signs of a good team? Obviously, none were as suitable for you as Whissel. But what were some signs of good teams, and what were some signs of, like, these people don't have it together yet? How could you tell a good team from a not so good team in that initial survey?
How long have the top 10 been there?
Okay.
Because to me it was important that they're when they're talking about, oh, I'm on this team because of the lead and I love the people. Well, if you love the people, how come you've only like your person that you loved last year isn't here? That was a big sign to me. Like, how cohesive is this group? Because if that is telling to me that something's broken on the inside. And I did find a team who had a great group of people, and they're still there today, and they've been there years and years and years. And it was because of the leader. It was because of the team lead. And I could tell they didn't have a lot of systems in place, so that was a miss for me, but that was important. It was the most important thing was being able to retain those that were on the team and seeing some growth over the time.
Cool. Mm-hmm. As we record this in the back half of 2024, what are you looking forward to in the year ahead?
I am looking forward to selling a lot of listings, and that is what is going to happen in quarter four. So that's what I've been working on ever since prior to 4th of July. Rates kind of, they slow the market, and then you have holidays, and that's what I've been noticing. So I'm primarily listings, and I'm thinking, okay, we have the Fed meeting coming up, and the jobs report is in and doesn't look that great, which is unfortunate. But for those who want to buy, it will likely swing towards a more favorable interest rate for them. So we will see a pickup in the market going into Q4. That's what I'm looking to finish with. And then, honestly, this year, taking the holiday off, that's like, get through that. And that's a big win. My daughter just went to college. We just took her last weekend, and I'm really excited for her to come home and spend time with us. Awesome. And just kind of have a week off.
Is it the start of her first year?
Yep.
That's a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I went through that a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Did she go far away, or is she close?
She's like 4 hours away. She's in Santa Barbara. So,
okay. Yeah, that's one of those where you're not just going to pop in. But It's also, I could come home for a weekend if I needed or wanted to.
Exactly.
That's nice. Yeah. Our son went 1,000 miles away. So It's like, that's a commitment.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Good for you. Well, I wish you continued success in the year ahead. I thank you so much for making time for this today. Before I let you go, I would love to know, what is your very favorite team to root for? Or what's the best team you've ever been a member of?
Favorite team to
besides
root
Whissel
for?
Realty Group?
Well, I mean, we are Padres fans, know, and my friend is one of the coaches. Like, we love them, and that's definitely my favorite team to root for. And then to be a part of, I'm like team my own personal family at home. Like, we are like super, we're the VanDykes, and that's my favorite teams to be a part of. Yeah.
That's awesome. Chargers. What did we think about that whole situation?
That was a bummer. My husband's still crying. He's a musician, a software engineer by day and a musician at night. And when that was announced, he played his fingers or guitar till his fingers bled. It's like this funny thing, and he still has the jersey. So that's a bummer. But yes, when it comes to football, we will always be Chargers fan.
Yeah,
that's just Chargers fans.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know. How long have you been in San Diego?
Since '99.
Okay, yeah. So you're in.
Yep, I'm
cool.
in.
Good. I'm glad I had the opportunity to ask a local about that. I should have done it with more people. It's just an interest of mine. Anyway, I appreciate you so much. I do wish you continued success in the year ahead, and I appreciate you spending time with us on Real Estate Team OS.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Team OS. For email exclusive insights every week, sign up at realestateteamos.com.